Xbox seems to be the gift that keeps on giving with news stories coming out about the company. And I enjoy talking about Xbox related things because I just feel like it's been such a weird year for the brand as a whole. There have been some really good points for Xbox in 2025, and there's also been some bad points about it. Now, I do think that the reaction and reception to this news is a little bit misconstrued by a lot of people, in just my personal opinion. So, I definitely want to talk about this and kind of give some sort of different perspectives than you're probably going to hear on other channels that will more so view this as a doom and gloom situation, which I do think it has elements of, but I do think that there is a little bit more to it potentially as well, because yes, Xbox is once again raising prices on something, but it's not actually at the consumer level this time. It's at the developer level. When it comes to Xbox dev kits, they are now increasing in price if you want to put your game onto an Xbox platform. So I want to talk about this with you guys, give kind of my thoughts and insight on it, and then hear what you guys have to say, of course. So, as per usual, before we get into the meat and potatoes, I am not an Xbox hater. Okay, I literally just paused Ninja Gaiden 4, which I'm playing on my Xbox Series X right now, to make this video. And Ninja Gaiden 4 is super fun thus far. I'm only like an hour and a half into it, but I'm definitely enjoying it. It is a great game thus far, and the combat is really fun and really fluid, and I'm super enjoying it. It's available on your Xbox, it's available on your PlayStation 5, but it is a Microsoft published game, so, you know, technically, I guess it's an Xbox game. I just think that Xbox is kind of shooting themselves in the foot with a lot of this news that comes out, and then you get some fluff PR stuff from these companies as well to kind of coincide along with it, but it's like, you know, read between the lines here. So, here's what's going on today, folks. The Verge reports that Xbox dev kits are increasing in price from $1,500 to $2,000. The adjustment reflects macroeconomic developments. We remain committed to providing high-quality tools and support for your development efforts. So the Xbox dev kit to put your game onto an Xbox system is now going to cost a developer $2,000 instead of $1,500. Now, you could get into the whole semantics thing of, well, what is an Xbox? Because, like, you know, if everything is an Xbox, then why are Xbox dev kits even a thing and stuff like that? I guess this is more so for the console side of Xbox, but you know, you can play Xbox games on your phone, and you know the Xbox ROG Ally. Like, it's so confusing. It's just absolutely ridiculous. But going up in price with a development kit is obviously something that immediately you're going to think, well, now developers won't want to put their games onto Xbox if they don't already have a dev kit because of the price of the dev kit going up. And I don't recall ever really like hearing discussions about dev kits as far as prices were concerned when it comes to prices going up for dev kits. You know, much like consoles, usually, and I use that term pretty loosely here, but usually speaking, prices go down as technology gets older, but we're obviously seeing something very different in this current state that we are in. And I think there are some interesting comments in regards to this that I want to go over, and then I want to give a little bit of additional insight into this because I do think that there is something that is being lost on a lot of people. So, Juke here calling me out. I said that Dreamcast guy would do it first, but I don't know if he's going to at this point. Like, I'm waiting for him to make a video. I'm going to schedule this for a little bit later in the day here. But I thought this was kind of interesting. So this is a developer here who makes games called Brock the Brawl, which is a French solo creator of Brock the Investigator and Demetrios, not Demetrios, the freaking, I think that's MVG's real name. And, they do Diabolical Mind console ports, but this was kind of interesting. I could never get one due to the original price. Still rocking the old Xbox One S dev kit here, so now I'm certain I'll never get one. Man, now I hope my old dev kit holds up, because no way I'm going to shell out $2,000 for the revenue I make on Xbox. And, something that is interesting about this isn't going to affect like bigger companies. Bigger companies already have dev kits and stuff for Xbox. It's going to affect the smaller companies, the independent companies, the indie studios that are just kind of getting their footing and stuff like that. And that's kind of where, Xbox does have a little bit of a thing going on right now, where it's like, well, if everything is an Xbox and you're integrating Steam and into Xbox and stuff like that, why would I make an Xbox version of the game? So some people are kind of taking this in their mindset that, this is yet another way for Xbox to kind of slow down on console sides of things. And, the Xbox console brand, since it's kind of integrating into Steam now, that's where you're going to buy the games. You're going to play them on an Xbox branded device, but most of your game purchases are probably going to be via Steam. And then maybe you'll get Game Pass, and then you'll have access to Game Pass and stuff like that. Like, it kind of becomes a convoluted situation. But if you're wanting to put your game onto an Xbox and you're a smaller indie developer who doesn't have an Xbox dev kit, I mean, $2,000 is definitely more expensive than $1,500. And you get into the whole revenue side of things where, traditionally speaking, we know that most of the time Xbox games tend to sell a bit less than PlayStation. Some extreme cases we've seen bigger splits on stuff like that. But when you have a smaller user base, obviously you're not going to sell as many copies on a system that has, 2.5 to 3 times the user base that you have. But one thing that I do want to clarify a little bit with this, because I do think, you see here, JC, this might be Jesus Christ. What is an Xbox dev kit at this point? Isn't and the Xbox just an ordinary PC? Why do you need a dev kit to develop a game for that Asus handheld? So, and then somebody says that you could still get dev kits for free through the ID program, but Brock the Brawl Bar, I'm going to follow this Brock guy. He's giving me a lot of information here for this video. You only get it the first time. Got an Xbox One S dev kit 10 years ago. Now I'm stuck with it because it wasn't worth spending $1,500 to upgrade for the revenue I make on the console, let alone $2,000, which, I mean, I think that's a valuable thing to say. But one thing I do want to put into perspective is dev kits themselves are indeed expensive. And, we've never heard how much the PS5 dev kit costs. We've never heard about how much the Nintendo Switch 2 dev kit costs. And I'm sure it is very expensive for these things. So to kind of mock the $2,000, as being like, oh, way too expensive, when we don't know the prices of PS5 and Nintendo Switch 2. And I'm pretty sure that the PS5 dev kit is actually more expensive than the Xbox dev kit would be to put your games on the Series X and the Series S. I don't necessarily think that's fair, but I do understand the optics of the situation. I do understand why, at the end of the day, it's just not a great look, because there's so much weird stuff happening with Xbox. We hear about these, record-breaking profits and stuff, but we got to increase the price of the console twice. We got to increase the price of Game Pass. The ROG Ally X Xbox One, the nice one, is $1,000. It's just like, you almost feel like they're doing this for other reasons. You almost feel like they're doing this to just make investors, because investors aren't going to pay attention to this shit. They're going to see is how certain divisions of Microsoft are doing. And if they see that, the Xbox division is kind of has this negative stigma towards it and isn't making all this money, they're going to start asking questions like, hey, why don't we get rid of this? why don't we consolidate this? Why don't we shrink this down or something like that? But it's just crazy, man. It's crazy, how everything entertainment related just seems to be going up in price. HBO Max just went up in price. Disney Plus is going up in price, and it's like, what the hell do you expect people to do here? Like, what do you expect? Oh, yeah, sure, whatever. It's just a few more dollars, and then in a couple months, it'll be a few more dollars. But I just wanted to talk about this and shine a little bit of perspective kind of on the overall situation. I think optically speaking, it's not the best look for Xbox. I also don't think it's like the end of the world or anything like that, raising the dev kit prices, because it's really only going to hurt smaller independent companies, which hopefully, if they haven't gotten a dev kit yet of an Xbox branded thing, they can go through the ID program and get one of those. I think that would be really cool. But, optically speaking, it's just another log onto the Xbox fire. But I want to hear your thoughts on it. I want to hear what you guys have to think about it. So let me know in the comments section down below. And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. Go check out the video from earlier where we talk about Kirby Air Riders getting an hour-long direct, because that game really needs it, I guess. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.